In this video we're going to look at how to use a spreadsheet program to draw a graph and change the scale from a linear to a logarithmic scale. So I've just put in some data here where we're looking at generation number and the population size. So at the beginning we've got a population of, say, one cell for the sake of argument for this example, and then with each generation that cell divides into two. So we go from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 4, 4 to 8, so we're doubling with each generation. So in order to draw a graph of that, we just select the data and include the heading as well. Go to Insert and then Chart. Now in this case I'm using Google Sheet, and in the case of Google it automatically assumes you want a line chart, and indeed other spreadsheet programs will often give that as the default, and you don't necessarily want a line chart. So typically if you just want to plot an ordinary scientific plot where you're plotting one set of numbers against another, you actually want a scatter chart. Okay, so there are various things that it's assumed, using row 1 as the header and using column A as the labels, the x-axis. That's pretty much what we want. Okay, so we now have a graph, and you can do various things like change the chart style and size of the symbols and so on. I'm not going to go into that today. The help in these programs is usually very good, and that's one of the things they'll tell you. But changing between a linear and logarithmic scale, if you click on the numbers on the labels of the y-axis, that brings up the chart and axis titles, and it brings up in particular the vertical axis. And if you have a look down here, there's various sorts of formatting things, but there's a box to check for logarithmic scale. And the same is true, I know in Excel there's a little box to check, you have to look down for it for logarithmic scale. So at the moment it's going, we're adding 1,000 on with each grid line. If I click on log scale, it's multiplying by 10 with each grid line. Okay, so in a logarithmic scale this exponential growth shows as a straight line, whereas on a linear scale the exponential growth shows that more customary exponential pattern.